Brides in the Hills. 21. He went home with a limp. Subhana Hegde went to the butcher's kitchen to drink the Kanapandit's potion, but the old man did not remember to wash it off as the mud on his feet had dried up. After a while, the eyewitnesses came out and called out, "Viku." Gutti jumped the leaves as if mechanically. He sat looking at the ground and did not raise his head. The tree branches had woven a web around him. The Malayali Pandit was moved to see Holia sitting in the idol with a shaking jaw. Aranagedi shouted again a little louder, "Hey dog." However, seeing that Gutti was sitting as before, the Pandit slowly and cautiously started to move up the crooked stone steps. While Gutti was looking at the ground, a caterpillar was pushing a small lump back and forth with its hind legs from a lump lying among the jackfruit tree that had floated in the rain of the last night. As if embarking on an adventure to carry the most precious substance with great effort, the lump climbed a small mound and rolled back down as soon as it reached its scalp. The earthworm approached it again, hugged it with its hind legs and began to rush. In this way, despite facing various obstacles within a couple of years, she carried on her work calmly without getting discouraged or disappointed. Gutti's eyes were looking at it curiously. The outer edge of his mind wondered and admired its tenacity. But since then he couldn't sit still engrossed. The thought that pervaded the center of his mind was so different that a clairvoyant would not have read it twice. The idea that occupied his mind was Timmy's abduction. Its possibility, its danger, the plan to escape from it, the help that can be provided by Timmy's adversary, the obstacle that Timmy's father can cause from the big bear, if he gets caught anywhere, from Goda to him. "What? Gutti, are you sitting like this?" Gutti stood up as if startled and said in surprise, "Ayo, what kind of witch did you come and break into Hatra?" He gritted his teeth. "What are you looking at?" I shouted twice, "Have you not meditated at all?" Not paying attention to the question asked by the Pandits, Gutti looked longingly at the antravan in their hands and made both his hands begging, and while doing so, the Bagani Donna in his hand was attached to his armpits. The proverb, "Surrender in hand and stick in arm," is yours. Don't forget what I said again. Do you know? Kana Pandit touched his hand, hugging the holy object in his hands with great respect. He bowed with his joined hands and bowed. Gutti left. Pandit asked, "What's wrong, Amasa? Are you running?" Even though he heard that, he did not stop and said, "Hotaitu Kakra, Barthini," and suddenly put his foot down. Kana Pandit, who was a little old, laughed at the young Guttian, who was strong as a color, and thought, "Isn't the son of a woman crazy about a woman?" and returned home. Gutti shouted, "Hotaitu Kana," but hurriedly dropped the eyewitnesses who had donated the guts, but within 10 seconds his speed slowed down and he stopped near Antaka Setti's house. The smell of dosa was inviting his nose so pleasantly. If the dew is advanced, there was a footpath leading from the highway. All those going on foot had to go to the old house. But Gutti's mind or mouth did not make such a difference between them. He argued that the bamboo fence that was placed on the edge of the highway was on the side of the road. Climb over the hurdle and cross. He went to the front yard. Antaka Setti's house was in a way a collective field that included all the rights of institutions such as Aravatij Anasatra, Bojagriha Kalingajuju, Katyatardamain, etc. But as far as Gutti is concerned, it is Megoli jackfruit tree house. Even though the Habalasi tree in front of that house was cut down, it was famously known that way. Whenever he used to go from Simbavi to places like Kon or Old House Huvalabetali, he used to satisfy his thirst, hunger and tiredness in the Halasinamada house. Even for a short while, he continued to enjoy buttermilk pickled with jaggery water, black carp, chatty fish and swallow fish. Instead, he did not tip like other passengers. Even if he has that substance with him, it is enough if he sneaks near Hegedera and steals one or two while going to fairs and festivals. But when he came to the forest, if it was time, he would break a good leaf and bring it. During the journey, if a wild fowl or a sparrow was caught in the trap he laid, he would bring it many times. Once in a while he used to pass through other people's banana plantations and pass through the fence to bring bunches of bananas when he got there. The one who went to the courtyard saw the mantra coconut hanging in front and stood at a distance. Because the grass had collapsed, some of the upper caste people were sleeping on mats in the shallows of the jungle. 22 will be continued.